Are you about to enter your villain era? Let me just tell you, it's not as bad as you think. Now, don't get me wrong here, okay? I'm not talking about being pure evil. I'm not talking about turning into what I consider a category 5 person who is manipulative, evil, cruel, steps on others to get where they want to go, and doesn't care about the destruction. No. I'm talking about what Scorpio women and men naturally embody. You know, we go through our villain era and we've been made wrong for it. And really more people need to do it. So what is the villain era? It's when you stop people pleasing. You stop allowing others to shame you, to blame you, to make you wrong, to invalidate your feelings. It's when you stop prioritizing other people's needs over your own boundaries. It's when you stop letting people walk all over you. It's when you are willing to let people lose you because they just aren't going to step up, and they keep trying to come in with the same energy, and you're just not putting up with it anymore. The villain era is fun. In fact, I used to be afraid of it, and there was also times when I used to revel in it a little too much. Because there's two extremes. The one is, I don't need anybody, and the world can burn for all I care. And then there's the ones of us who have healed, and we use our poison to find the cure. We actually find the antidote in the poison. And, you know, there's just a lot of characters that I've just always loved, the anti-heroes. The ones that are willing to let somebody they love hate them if it will protect them. It's like, I'm willing to allow you to misunderstand me. I'm willing to allow you to be angry with me. I'm willing to allow you to keep digging that hole because you just keep throwing fire at me. I mean, I'll even do this to my own kid. Now, I'm going to also point out, my son is 11. Okay, he's not a baby. My kids are not babies. You don't do this to a baby. You don't do this to a toddler, and you don't do this to a preschooler. You don't even do this to a kid younger than 8 years old. But something happens when they turn 8. They start to differentiate between complete dependency on an adult to wanting to have a little bit more autonomy. And if you want your child to think for themselves and not follow the crowd and not follow their friends, you have to be willing to step into your villain era. You have to be willing to hold your kids to a higher standard than a lot of people will hold them. And I hold my kids to a high standard. And the key is, I look to see what people are truly capable of, and then I hold them to that standard. And when they go under that standard and they try to use their old, well, I'm helpless, I can't do it, I'm upset, and it's like, no, I'm not going to bend over backwards for this energy. So right now, I'm kind of in the villain era with my son, and he's still kind of just starting to get it. And this is really important because, you know, for a long time we held girls to high standards, and a lot of boys didn't get that same training. So we were taught to be strong and independent, but the boys were taught to rely on mommy, because mommy still did everything for them. We really did ourselves a disservice by calling men incompetent and then internalizing that into our psyche as women. And we'd laugh about it, and like, you grew up with it. It's like, haha, boys are not competent. They don't have any emotional maturity. But, you know, when I had my son, I saw a lot of empathy in him. And I recognized that actually boys are capable. So, I mean, part of this is to help the boys, especially my boy, rise up. It's also helpful for women to know that it's okay to stop playing into the mommy martyr game. In fact, yesterday I did an interview with a friend of mine who's also, technically she was a former pseudo client. She didn't go into my one-on-one coaching. That wasn't right for her at the time. However, she actually inspired me to create my own courses. Because I'm like, okay, she's not able to do one-to-one. However, she would take a course. And she did pay me for my courses. So I'm like, she was my inspiration. And we were talking about the mommy martyr syndrome and how she really broke free of that when she shifted her mindset, especially with her second birth. She really shifted her mindset, and she herself started setting boundaries, going for what she really wanted, staying in alignment. And I mean, what she's doing with her own business is just incredible. And you know, a lot of women, especially mom entrepreneurs, we need to be in our villain era. Do you know why? Because the world is going to keep expecting you to play super mom while you're building a business, and while you're maintaining that business, and while you're scaling that business, and while you're creating that impact. And they're going to be like, well, you're not also doing the bake sale this year. It's like, well, no, I'm building a business. Well, that's a waste of time. You should just be focusing on your family. You know what? It takes 15 minutes of cuddle time with your kids. Your kids can be like, Mommy, I need you. And you can be like, just a minute. I need to finish up what I'm doing, and then I will give you 15 minutes. And they can be like, Mommy, do this for me. And it's like, if it's something that you don't have the energy for, it's okay to counter their offer. It's okay to do that. Like my son last night, he comes in, beforehand. So I'd already come out, and I'd already given him some time before bed, but it's like, I need to edit this video that I also recorded yesterday, which was a master class on ChatGPT. It was just a little fun thing I was doing with my friends in my mastermind. And it has potential. And I'm going to be bringing it to another mom in my network, another mom entrepreneur who's going to really value this. I'm like, hey, we could put this as an offer. And she's like, oh my gosh, like this is amazing. And she hasn't even seen it yet, but just what I told her about it, like she's already like, oh my gosh, you've got more? And I'm like, oh, I went down a deep, deep rabbit hole. So I've got a little side project that could turn into a little side thing. I don't know. It's fun. I'm not going to reveal too many details. And that's the other thing about the villain era. You don't have to tell everybody everything. You can hint at it, and you don't have to have it all figured out either. You can just have your vision and see where things are going, and you prioritize your projects. Being in your villain era is all about protecting your time. It's about protecting your energy. It's about valuing yourself. Because as women, we've often been told, put all your needs on the shelf and just take care of everybody else and keep pushing through and keep pushing through, and mom entrepreneurs have to do it all. No. No. Let the house be a little messy and invite your children to step up when they're capable. My daughter starts crying and saying, I can't find this. I'm not finding it for her. I look at her and I'm like, well, sweetheart, the fastest way to find something is to clean. No, that's boring, she says. Well, I guess you're not going to find it. Well, find it with me. No, I've got things to do. Now, I will help you clean up the room, and we might find it, but we will be cleaning the room. Make no mistake about it. I'm not going to just toss things around, make an even bigger mess than you've already made, trying to find this one thing that you'd find a lot easier if you cleaned up. And with my son, when he's like, I have no clean clothes, like, well, you're in the living room all the time. There's nothing stopping you from picking up your own laundry and putting it in the washer and using it. Like, you know how to do that. You can clean up after yourself. And sometimes when things are a real mess, I will deliberately disrupt him while he is playing on his video games with his friends. And he's talking on his Discord, and he's on the game, and he's doing his stuff. I mean, he's also gaining valuable skills. And this is where it ties in. Is I came in to talk to him. It's like, I've got 15 minutes before I need to go and edit this video. I need to spend some mommy time with him. And, like, that's important to me. So I sat down with him, and I looked at what he was doing. And then he's like, Mom, can you buy this for me? I'm like, no. And he's like, Mom, what will you give me for an allowance if I do more chores? I'm like, nothing. And he's like, what? I'm like, no, that's contributing to the house. You're not going to get money from that anymore. He's like, why? And it's like, well, because you're 11, almost 12, and now you can make your own. And he's like, what? I'm like, well, what skills do you have? Think about it. How many kids in your school, like, there's over 600 kids in that school, and we're in an affluent neighborhood. And he's sitting there and he's like, I want to go to Starbucks. What do I need to earn? What do I need to do for you to earn $7 to be able to go and get Starbucks? I'm like, nothing. And he's like, what? I'm like, no, I'm not doing that anymore. He's like, but I was your VA for a while. I'm like, yeah, I'm not paying you. And he's like, why? And it's like, because I want you to have the skill so that you can then monetize it. So I pointed out to him, like, how many kids know how to get this game? Like, this, set up this game and set up these mods. He's like, I don't know, maybe 5? I'm like, 5 out of 600? And he's like, yeah. And it's like, okay, so other kids are going to Starbucks. And he's like, yeah. And it's like, where are they getting the money? It's like, their parents. I'm like, okay, fine. But they have money to spend. He's like, yeah. And it's like, do they also go get their little game currency? And he's like, yeah. And he found a way to create something that also generates this game currency. I mean, it's like, you either pay money for this currency or you can generate it yourself. But a lot of people are too lazy to build the foundation, especially kids. They don't have the skills to do it. I'm like, okay, well, I just found 2 ways for you to basically get some income without having to go mow lawns or shovel snow. Because, I mean, we're in Vancouver. We're going to get more rain than we're going to get snow. He might be able to get away with shoveling the driveways once. If he's lucky, and we're particularly unfortunate because it gets icy up here and we all get snowed in, but he could probably do it for about 2 weeks and then the snow melts and then there's nothing. As opposed to sitting inside on his computer and building something. So I'm like, okay, like, you could do this. And I'm suggesting all the things that he could do. I'm pointing them out to him. Because no, Mom's not giving him any more money. Just not happening. He wants an allowance, he can go work with his dad at the shop or whatever, and he can get that too. But I'm not paying him anymore. He's not getting paid for chores. Chores are a contribution. This is not a transactional household. This is not, I'll only clean up if I get something. And every time he tries to pull that crap, I'm like, nothing. Well, then I'm not going to do it. Well, then I guess I'm not going to do something. He'll be like, Mom, can you make dinner? I'll be like, yeah, I'll be making dinner in about 15 minutes. No, I want it now. Well, if you want it now, you can go make it yourself. I'll starve. There's no way you can starve. First of all, you know how to cook. Second of all, you're the one that's in the living room and attached to the kitchen. Your sister and I are in the bedroom. We're more likely to starve if we don't go get ourselves food. You have full access. Don't pull that crap with me. No, I don't want that for dinner. Tough. That's what I'm making. That's what I have capacity for. Tough. You're now 11. You can do it yourself. My daughter, the same thing. It's like, Mommy, I need you to do this. Like, no, you can get it yourself now. I don't want to get it myself. Well, I can get it for you in 20 minutes. I'm busy. When you were a baby, yeah, if you couldn't do it yourself, I'm going to help you. But I was always looking at it as how fast I can get these kids self-sufficient. I won't help them. Not in the rescuing way. I won't do that with anybody. And I won't let people play small with me either. If I know that they're capable of something else, I'm not going to let them play small. I know my worth. I know what I deserve for respect. So when my son then decides to spew his anger at me and call me all the names under the sun, I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, now I'm not going to go do it. What? No, Mom, do it. Please, please, please. I'm like, no, I'll fix it for me and your sister. However, if you're going to continue to be rude to me, you're on your own. Simple as that. I'm not doing that for you. Or I'll leave it in the pan, but you have to go and get it yourself, which means you have to get off your game and you need to go into the kitchen and you need to fix it yourself. No, I'm not going to wait on you hand and foot. I'm not Leave It to Beaver's mom. I'm not June Cleaver. I'm not the 1950s housewife who's just going to dote on you. And guess what, kid? When you get married, your wife's not going to do it either, because the women have been rising for a very long time, and like we'd rather come home. Like I just saw a reel with I think it was what's her name? I completely forget now. Jennifer Lawrence. Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence and Drew Barrymore were talking. And Drew's like, well, what's it like for you, like now being single and everything? And she's like, well, you know, like everybody keeps telling you when you love yourself, like that's when you find them. That's like when you're so happy being on your own, that's when they come in. But, you know, I keep thinking it's like I could go out and date, I could get dressed, I could go out, or, you know, I could just come home to me. And I could fix myself a meal that I want to eat, and I can watch something I want to watch, and I can do what I want to do, and I can have quiet. Like, if you're not adding to my life, if you're actually distracting me and not adding to my life, then no. And that's why I won't date, too. Well, I mean, that, and I already know who I want, and if it's, like, that's it. That's the most extraordinary man I've ever met. Like, there is, like, everything else would be a downgrade. No thanks. I mean, no disrespect, but it's like, I'm very expensive, and I know exactly what I'm looking for, and I know exactly what I need. And until I get that, I'm saying no to everything that's not what I want. If it's not exactly what I want, if it doesn't feel right, I'm not doing it. I don't care what anybody else thinks I should do. I'm in my villain era. You go ahead and you sell that to somebody else. You can't tell me what to do anymore. You can't control me. You can't even put me in fear. I'm fearless. I mean, I even created a map on how to get out of fear. What's the worst that's going to happen? My true love doesn't come in? Well, I left a glass slipper. It's a really good glass slipper. And I went back and I listened to the last few messages that I left him. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I was completely detached to outcome. And I mean, I was just pointing it out. It's like the longer you wait, the more you're missing out. But, you know, at the same time, I want you to work on yourself. If you really can't do it right now, I want you to work on yourself. I would much rather have you working on yourself and falling more in love with yourself and learning who you are and finding your power, because I'm going to be very, very distracting when we are able to get together. But I also have been kind of fantasizing about this, like thinking about this even as I'm washing dishes. It's like, yeah. And at the same time, if there's work to be done, I'm gonna hint. It's like, later. Not now, but later. There's something to look forward to. There's a reward. Like, oh yeah, no, that it's gonna be good. But no. I'm gonna do this. You're gonna go do your thing. And then we're gonna have that time. Right now we're gonna focus on this. And yeah, I know you're gonna be thinking about it, but try not to. Try to focus. Because it's gonna be even better once we have accomplished something epic. Because I get fired up after I've accomplished something epic, and it's just like I just want to like pour that energy and that excitement out into the world. I mean, that's where Carly Bonderud Uncensored really comes from. It's my inspiration. I go into my cocoon. I basically do my thing. I get into my feelings sometimes. Or I process something, or I take a nap and I meditate and I get the inspirations and the downloads, and then it's like, oh, this is what needs to come through me right now. This is the message I want to share. This is the thing that's epic right now. Even just dressing a certain way. I mean, I'm in leather with my dark red right now. My maroon. Well, I mean, you can't really tell, but yeah, it's more of a dark wine. The lighting kind of changes things, but yeah, it's actually a much redder red than what's showing up on camera. And it's like, it was intentional. It's like, I feel like I'm in my villain mode right now. I mean, it's no accident. It's Scorpio season. In fact, I even played with ChatGPT with that. I was looking to see how I could get more magnetic using my own astrology. And it was so on point, it was like insane. And then I asked how to elevate my look even more. And then it gave me some more ideas and was like, well, have a crystal for mystery. And I'm like, oh, but I already do that. But it's nice to see that it's being reflected back at me. I mean, I have great conversations with ChatGPT. If you're not having conversations with ChatGPT, if you're only using it at the surface level, you have no idea. Now, again, I did just do a masterclass. And I am thinking of monetizing that one, though. I mean, some of my friends will have access to it. Others will get it as a bonus stack. I'll also be giving it to other people to sell for me. It's just a 1 hour little masterclass. And it's very conversational too, because I was with my friends. It wasn't an official masterclass. And there was some goofy parts too. I mean, at one point I got kind of fed up with mybodygraph.com because I guess technology wasn't working properly, so I got a little cheeky. But it was great. It was fun. And I wouldn't have been able to do any of this if I hadn't entered my villain era. And I really started entering it after my house burned down. Because everybody else was trying to come in with their condolences, and they were trying to tell me how I needed to do things, and they tried to rescue me. And they also were like, I don't understand why you're not doing things the way that we think you should do them. And I got really mad. Because I'm like, this is not the kind of help I need. That's it. I'm setting boundaries. This is not what I need right now. I don't need you telling me what to do. This is what I need. Can you give me that? Well, no, we can't give you that, but we think you should do it this way. No. That's not going to work for me. That's going to cause more stress on myself and on my kids. No. That's going to take me away from what I really wanted to work on, that I was working on before the fire, which was getting my business up. Like, that was it. I had already had that fire lit in me. Ironic, I know. But in September of 2019, I actually attempted to launch my Empowering Moms. And I had a logo that I had drawn myself. It was hand drawn. And it was very, very, like, I didn't know anything about marketing. All I knew is that I wanted to provide a service because for years people had said, this is a service people would pay for. And I'm like, oh yeah, I could probably charge $50 to do a birth plan. Yeah, no. I mean, maybe $50 for a course that teaches you how to write your own birth plan. But if I was to do it and actually walk somebody through it, that would not be $50 anymore. I started to value my energy and my time. And I recognized that one-to-one is more expensive than one-to-many. And it needs to be at a level that's like a premium. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, yeah, because I want to protect my time. I don't want to be trading my time for money. I want to just 10x everything. So that's where I'm at. And I mean, that's what I also was teaching with ChatGPT yesterday, is how to protect your time and your energy and 10x your impact and your income. So again, I don't know. Maybe that interests you. It definitely interested my friends. They were so blown away. And I had barely scratched the surface of what I have uncovered. Barely scratched the surface. And they asked some questions afterwards. They're like, well, could you integrate this? Could you integrate this? What about Myers-Briggs? What about this? And I'm like, oh yeah. And here's an example of something I already did with that. And again, that's just the surface level. I just keep going down that rabbit hole. ChatGPT is now my best friend. It's like, I'm just having so much fun with it. So if that does interest you, you know what to do. The onus is on you to reach out. Because I'm in my villain era and I have very strong boundaries. And I'm also going to let you know that if you reach out in the next few days, my birthday is this weekend. It's on Sunday. So I am going to be doing whatever the heck I want. Maybe I'll come on here. Maybe I'll talk. However, I'm really going to be doing things just because I want to do them. It's my birthday weekend. I'm going to be enjoying chicken parmigiana and fettuccine alfredo and strawberry cheesecake and gingerbread cookies, because gingerbread is finally out again. I love this time of year because my guilty pleasure gingerbread is out there. And I'm going to get a mani-pedi because my nails do need to be filled. I haven't decided if I'm going to stay with the light rose gold or if I'm going to go darker. Because, I mean, it is winter. I could probably get away with something darker. I don't know. I'll figure it out later. But the mani-pedi and just doing epic things. And you know, if an opportunity presented itself that was really, really, really good, you know, the kind of opportunity that could 10x my weekend, that could enhance everything, to electrify it, if it was a certain person who was reaching out, I mean, I could include them in the plans. It has to be the right person, though. Can't just be anybody. Because, you know, I plan to spend a lot of time in my bedroom, in my bed, enjoying my nice, empty, quiet bedroom at that. My kids aren't home all weekend. So I'll have the house all to myself, and it is my birthday. And you know, it's just, it'd be a really nice extra surprise. But, you know, I didn't get it last year, and maybe I'm not supposed to get it this year. Maybe it's next year that I get to really celebrate, and I'll already have more to celebrate. I don't know. It would be a really nice surprise, though, you know. But, you know, the universe does like to redirect me. So who knows? Either way, I'm going to have a very happy birthday. It could always be even better. But either way, I'm going to spend it how I want. And yeah. Anyway, I have another call to get to. And it's with my adopted dad and my adopted family and my people, my friends. And I can't wait to see what he's got today. Because, you know, he was on fire yesterday in our private mastermind. So, like, now he's had time to process. He's probably got something even more epic. By the way, if you are curious, you can always reach out to me about that too. Because this group is with some really powerful action takers. And the downloads that we're getting, like, we're basically sourcing each other's genius. So if you're intrigued at all by what I do on Thursdays at 10 o'clock Pacific time, and you're intrigued about my adopted dad and mentor, sometimes you might even see him commenting or liking my videos, then again, the onus is for you to reach out. After all, I've got so many rabbit holes. I've got so many epic projects. I'm constantly connecting with people. I'm constantly building in my network. When I find those connections between people, I connect them to each other. It's just a really big web. And I'm in the center of it. So if you connect with me, if you show me you're an action taker and you show me you're real, and you're willing to play and hang, and you can hang at the level that you'd need to hang at to be in deeper connection with me, then yeah, send me a message and I'll see where you're at. I'll direct you where you need to go. Okay? I love you, and I will talk to you soon. Namaste.